Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I thought we'd make this fun little card using the Santoro Gorjuss stamps, and this is called the Little Leaf Set. And we're going to start off by stamping on the Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock. So I went ahead and stamped everything using my Versfine Onyx black ink, and to do the blending we're going to be using the water brush from Holtz, and this is the detailer tip. And to do our coloring, we're going to be using beige, dark oatmeal, and brown from the Zig Clean Color Real Brush Pens collection. And this is a water-based marker. And today I'm using the water brush because I know that I've been using my blender pen a lot recently. And I'm always talking about using the water brush to do your blending. And here I wanted to show you that these images are a little bit larger. So I decided to use the water brush just to show you that this blends just as well, but the difference is sometimes the water brush or using a water brush with water can be a little bit wetter. So I usually keep a clean paper towel handy so I can blot off the brush if it gets a little too wet, and I can blot off any excess color if I need to as well. So you see here that I had started off with the lighter color brown, then I came in with a kind of a mid brown, and now I'm coming in with a third color and just kind of blending these together. And the paper is nice and wet at this point, so I'm getting a nice easy blend. And I'm not being real fussy here. I'm just adding some dark and light areas just to give that wood a little bit of texture. So now I'm going to take the mid brown color, and I'm going to make this a little bit dark here down at the bottom of this branch that she's sitting on here. And I'm going to add that darker color into some of the knots on the tree branch as well. And again, you can see that the paper is quite wet here, so my blending is very easy. So you can see how that looks up close there. Now for her little dress, I'm going to be using Persian green and turquoise green. And I really love how these two colors blend together. You get a really nice shadowing with that darker green or blue green. So here I'm going to add the lightest color, and I'm just going to blend that out so that the middle of her dress is the lightest. And again, this is a water-based pen, so it's really easy to blend these. And then you saw me just dab a little bit of color off the center of her dress there. So what's nice when you use the water brush is you can come in and kind of blot off color. Now I'm going with that darker green, and I'm going to just kind of pull that color down a little bit into her dress. Basically going and following some of those little shadows on her dress there. And again, blotting with my paper towel just to keep that center section the lightest. Now you want to clean off your brush between colors. Now I'm going to use beige and yellow. And this is going to be for her hair. And so I'm going to start off with that lighter color, the yellow color. And then I'm just going to come in with the beige and just add a little bit of shadowing here. So I want to add it up towards the top, the part line, and then I kind of want to leave it the lightest right along where that light might reflect right along her bangs there. So I'm just going to kind of pull the color down and then pull the beige color up a little bit and keep that little center portion the lightest. And then for the rest of her hair, I'm just going to add some shadows here and there. And again, you can come back in with color, so you don't have to change colors. You just can come back in with a little bit more of that dark color, the beige color, and just add a little bit more depth there. So now the next thing we're going to do is grab that pink color, And I'm going to be using that on her dress, the bow, and on her tights. The paper was getting quite wet, so I didn't want that color to bleed into anything, so I am heat setting it with my heat gun. And my camera wasn't on when I was filming, when I was doing the pink on her tights, but I want to show you here. I just put it sort of towards the left of her tights and then pulled it over towards the right to give a little bit of a shadow there. And then for her face, I'm using the flesh color, and I put a little bit around underneath her bangs and around the edges of her face and pulled that in towards the center. And then I grabbed the pale pink and I put a little bit on each of her cheeks there. And with that water brush, I just blended that out a little bit. So I apologize that that got cut out, but it's pretty easy to do there. So now with the black, I'm just going to add a little line across her dress there. And I did color her arms in with the flesh color as well. Now with the May green, the pale green, and the deep green, I'm going to go ahead and do the leaves. So I'm starting with the light green, adding the medium green, and then the dark green, and just blending those out. And I'm going to do the same thing for all of these leaves. And with the medium green, I'm going about halfway up, and then with the darkest one, I'm going about a third of the way up. Then I just take the water brush and pull those colors up. And if the pen starts getting too dark, just clean it off on your paper towel or on your scrap paper and go to the next one. So here you'll see in a minute that I finished coloring all of those leaves. Now with dark oatmeal and ochre, I'm going to color in the little beehive. So again, starting with that lighter color, and I want it to be the lightest down the center of the beehive. Then I'm adding the darker color along the edges there. And then I'm going to pull in towards the center. And I'm kind of lifting the pen as I do this. So I'm grabbing that darker color, pulling it in, lifting the pen, and pulling it in again. And then I'm going to flip it over and just do the other side the exact same way. Now here I thought it needed a little bit of a shadowing right underneath each of those lines. So I'm just adding a little bit of that darker color there and blending that out. Now I'm going back to the black marker. And I'm just going to color in the little opening to the beehive. Now with mid-brown and dark oatmeal, I'm going to color this branch up here at the top. And again, just adding the light color and then adding a little bit of shadow with the darker color. So I'm going to blend that lighter color out. And I am cleaning off the brush, just trying to get it a little drier. It was getting a little bit wet, so I was just kind of trying to get some of that water off of it. And then I'm going to come in with that darker color and just add a little bit of shading. And there you can see that I'm blotting off some color. There you can see again that it was getting very wet. So I did blot off a little color. You could also, again, take your heat gun and just heat set it before you go back to your next color. That will dry it off a little bit so that you can start to blend without it being too wet. Now there you can see that some of the color did run underneath that branch. So with a clean water brush, I'm just placing the water down on the paper, and then I'm using a clean paper towel to lift that color up. It's kind of like erasing the color there. You just use clean water and blot it up. And just do it as many times as you need till you get rid of that excess color there. So now using yellow and orange, I'm going to color in my little bees. I just think these are so cute. I'm adding a little bit of orange down the sides of the bees there. And then again, coming from the left towards the right and then the right towards the left, I'm kind of lifting it as I do this. I'm just going to blend that so the lightest part is down the center there. And then with the light gray, I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow to these wings. And blending that out. There again, picking up some color. And then with the light blue, I'm just going to add a little bit more color to those wings, just to give them a little bit more of a reflective look. So I finished all of the little bees. You can see those up close. Now with my detail scissors, I'm going to go ahead and cut this branch out. And I'm going to try to leave a little white border all the way around. And this is going to make it easier for me to cut this out. I can't, it would be almost impossible to cut right up to the lines on all these little details. So I thought I'll just leave a little bit of a white border and just kind of go around it as best I can. And since we're going to be placing this on a white frame, it's not going to be noticeable. So we've got that cut out. Now I'm going to do the same thing for this little branch that the little girl is sitting on. And when you're cutting detail like this, you want to move the paper around. Kind of keep your scissors in one place and turn the paper. It makes it a lot easier to cut out these little images. And here I'm going to cut around the stamp does stamp the word Santoro, the brand name of the stamp, and I'm just going to cut around that and cut that away for now. And for the little bees, I'm going to do the same thing, just leaving that little white border all the way around. And there as well, you can see that I'm moving the paper, not my scissors. Okay, so now that I have those all set, I'm going back to my Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock, and I have two pieces here. One is going to be the card. So this measures 5.5 by 11, and I'm scoring it at 5.5. So the finished card will be 5.5 by 5.5. And then this panel, I've also cut this panel, and this is 5.25 by 5.25. So that'll sit right on top of that card there. That'll leave about a 1/4 inch border all the way around. Now I'm taking my nesting circle dies from We Are Memory Keepers, and you can see how many circle dies you get here. So I wanted to show you which one that I selected. This one is the 4.5 inch circle. So with the 4.5 inch circle, I'm going to center that on our panel that we cut. That's 5.25 by 5.25, and I'm just going to center that and tape it down with a little bit of washi tape. I'm going to go ahead and run that through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 machine. And now you can see that it cut out that nice little circle frame. So now this is how my pieces are going to lay on this card. But I wanted to create a sky that you can see through the frame. So I'm using peacock feathers, and I'm starting off with, this is a Distress Oxide ink, and I do want to leave it the lightest towards the middle. And I am going to place it all over. About a 1/4 inch around the edges will show, and I do want that blue to show. Now, if you want the edge to be white, you could always mask this off, but I wanted that 1/4 inch border on my frame to show as the blue color. So I'm applying it all over, again, staying the lightest in the center. And then I'm taking the Salty Ocean, and I'm just going to add a little bit of dark in here, just a little shadowing. And I'm not going to be really that fussy here, even about blending it. I just kind of want to add, kind of to give it sort of a cloudy effect. I'm just kind of adding some dark, a little bit darker areas here. And again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time blending this out. You can see when I lay that frame over, you get kind of these nice dark and light areas. And again, keeping it the lightest in the middle. So I took that applicator and just blended it just a little bit there. And now you can see she's going to sit right inside that frame. So now I'm going to take my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, just put a little adhesive on each sides of those that branch there. on the left and right side, and a little bit on the back side on the bottom of her feet there, just to anchor her in place on this frame. Now I'm just taking a clean piece of scrap paper just to press that out and make sure it's nice and secure. And now you can see that I still have that little blue frame all the way around the card and that blue sky background behind her. But I did want to pop it up a little bit, so I'm taking my Scotch foam mounting tape, and I'm just going to cut it into sections here and tuck it behind the frame and behind the little girl as well. So I added the foam tape all over the back there, and I'm going to attach this to my card, and I do want to center it on my card. So you can see that up close there. So now you can see now with that branch, we did leave some white back there when we were cutting it, but it's going to blend right in with that frame. So now I'm just again cutting up my foam mounting tape into little tiny pieces here. And I'm not going to put it everywhere. I just want to pop up certain areas of it. And along the top part of the branch there, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue just so it sort of sits flat in that area. So now I'm going to remove the backing from the foam tape, and then I'm going to position this down. And as I was pushing it down, I realized I needed just a little bit more foam adhesive tucked in behind these little leaves here, just so that it wouldn't collapse at all. And then with my fingers, I'm just going to fluff up a few of those little leaves there, just to give it a little bit more dimension. Now for my little bees, I am going to add some foam adhesive behind each of those and pop those up just a little bit. So I went ahead and attached all of the little bees the same way here. And I'm just using my fingers just to push up the wings a little bit there. Now using my Zig Millenium Black Pen, I'm just going to go ahead, and I wanted to create kind of like a stitched border all the way around. So what I'm doing is one long dash and then two little dots. I like to play around with these little borders that I can create with my pens. So I do have like a little notebook where I'll just jot down little stitchings that I think of that I like, and then I refer to it when I need something different. So I just thought adding this black added a little bit of interest. Now if I were to do this again, I would do this frame before I attached everything. It would just be a lot easier just to go all the way around. But this worked out just fine, and I think it adds a lot of interest there around the edges. And you can use a ruler if you're not too sure about staying straight. Now these are the Sizzix Thinlits dies, and these are from Tim Holtz. And I'm going to be taking the word happy and the word best. Now, because what I'm going to do is use the word be happy, B-E-E. And so I'm going to go ahead and create a background here to stamp these on. So I wanted the color paper that I die cut these out of to match the sky that we created earlier. So I'm going back to my peacock feathers and the salty ocean, and I'm just going to ink up a piece of scrap paper here, just create a background. And now I'm going back to that salty ocean, and again just kind of creating those light and dark areas here. And I'm blending it out just slightly. And now I'm going to go ahead and run those dies through my machine. Just adding a little bit more shadow there. So I'm just going to take these dies and place them on this color paper and run those through my die cutting machine. And I'm going to run the word best through twice because I'm going to need two of the E's. And on this one here, I'm going to cut away the ST. And then here I just need the letter E. So I'm going to cut away again that ST and the B. And then I'm going to just clean this up a little bit and attach that to the other one. And then I get the word BEE. And again, just kind of cutting it down until everything sort of fits together here. Just takes a couple of seconds to do this. I'm just going to attach these two together with, again, my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive. And you can see that it looks like all one word there. And I will give you all the information for all these products down below. So check that for the supply listing. And there, we're all set now. So I'm going to let that dry. I'm putting an acrylic block on there and letting that dry. And now we can go ahead and do the inside of our card. So I'm just going to kind of center this, but I wanted to add some bees to this as well. So that those 3 bees that we had left over, we're going to go ahead and place these kind of randomly here on the inside of the card. And I do want to glue everything flat. I just don't want to put too much bulk in here, so I am going to glue the words and the bees down flat here. But I think this is going to add a lot of interest on the inside of our card. And you just want to add little tiny dots of glue to the back of your words here. So now I decided to come in with my sparkle pen. This is the Spectrum Noir sparkle pen, and this is the crystal clear. And I'm just going to add a little bit of glittery sparkle to some of these little items here. And again, this dries clear, but it gives a nice sparkle, which you will be able to see in a few minutes here. And I'm adding a little bit to her dress as well. I'm adding a little bit to the wings on the bees. And now I'm going to take my Jelly Roll white gel pen, and I decided I thought her dress needed some little polka dots. So I'm going to go ahead and add these little white polka dots to her dress. And I've said this before, but this is a good way to camouflage. If you didn't feel like your blending was perfect, just add some little white dots or black polka dots. And here on her eyes, I'm just adding a little dot of that white to each of her eyes. So now you can see the card up close, and you can see that we have a lot of dimension here. And I just love these gorgeous dolls. I have a whole collection of them, and I just think they're so adorable. And so that's our card for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.